The quality of your relationships determines your usefulness to God. Why do you need to work on your relationships? Because working on your relationships, improving them, will make you more useful to God. Listen closely this morning. Every person in this room, those of you in our Frederick campus today, those who are watching online, anyone that will be watching this message anytime in the future, I want to tell you something today. You were born with a God-designed purpose, a God-designed destiny. You are not an accident. You are not an accident. When you were formed in your mother's womb, God gave you giftings. He gave you ability, and He gave a destiny. He has a destiny for your life. We're gifted. Every person, you're gifted by God to be a blessing to this world. In fact, I'm going to ask you to say something with me this morning. I don't do this regularly, but I would ask you to affirm this with me. I want you to say with me together, I am blessed by God. I am gifted by God to be a blessing to my world. Say it again. I am blessed by God. I am gifted by God to be a blessing to my world. God put you on this planet because there's a work for you to do that only you can do. Nobody else can do that work. Why? Because you're unique. There's something unique about you, and there's a way that God can use you that He can't use other people. And it's true for that person to your right and to your left and in front of you and behind you and all throughout this worship center. We're all unique gifts of God, are we not? And God made you for a purpose. He wants to use you to advance His kingdom. So He has something He wants to do in the world. And how does God get His work done in the world? He gets His work done in the world through people. All of us. We're used by God to accomplish God's work in the world. But oftentimes, here's the problem. Although we're called to be useful to God, we get sidetracked from our usefulness. Let's just go ahead and confess today and raise your hand. How many of you have ever been sidetracked from God? Okay, a little bit. That's about most of you. The rest of you are perfect. I'm understanding here. You can raise your hand up. You guys can go ahead and dismiss yourself from the service if you'd like to do so. I've been sidetracked at times. Have you? God wanted to use me in a certain way, but I'm sidetracked, okay? I'm missing the mark here. I'm off the rails, we sometimes say, okay? And sometimes we get off the rails. We miss the mark. We get sidetracked from what God wants us to do. And there are lots of different ways we get sidetracked. It's not my purpose today to talk about all the different ways that we get sidetracked. But I will tell you one way you'll get sidetracked is when your relationships are messed up. And that's why the devil likes to work on your relationships. The devil loves to get into a marriage and mess up a marriage. Why? Because if he can mess up a marriage, he can hinder your usefulness to God.